Good morning, good morning. Hello, Rosemary. You all right? How are you all doing this morning? I know we're going to have quite a few people joining this at some point later on. It is the bank holiday weekend after all, but I hope you are going to have a wonderful weekend. Good morning, Janet. I am on my own in the shop, so if I have any customers, I will have to go and serve them. So we're here until morning, Judy. Hi, Mandy. Um, I just snuck in a chocolate biscuit before while the credits were rolling, and I had to quickly munch it, so I could speak to you. Um, I hope you're having a good weekend so far. We've got some nice plans for the bank holiday, and what a way to start your bank holiday weekend. So there's a few interesting things that we'll need today, in addition to what we normally do, and one of them is a toothbrush, not a new one, and not somebody in the house that you don't like very much. Use an old one. They come in handy. You'll need a scrap bit of A4 paper as well, and some kitchen roll, as well as Ultramarine, Cerulean Blue, yellow ochre, only a little bit of yellow ochre, which is there, lemon yellow, cadmium red. So Ultramarine, Cerulean Blue, lemon yellow, yellow ochre. I've not decided if I want to use it that much yet, and cadmium red. In watercolours, I have sketched it out. The outline has been provided. Janet, you know me and my toothbrushes, don't you? Or a toothbrush. It's a toothbrush where I'm from. No, toothbrush. No, how do I say it? Tooth. It's a tooth where I'm from. Yeah. That's why we need a bit of paper. But you may need a pack-a-mac. Or whoever's in the room with you may need to be covered in cling film and a tarpaulin, maybe. I don't know. Good morning, Mrs. Riley. How are you? Oh. Good morning, Trish. Now, for most of you, I can hazard a guess what the weather's like, because it's probably the same as where I am. The sun's out. I've not got the aircon in today. I've been nice to the electricity. And I've just got a fan over my head instead, because there's only me in the room. Bubble wrap the room and the dog. Oh god, do you know what, Janet? I had an arthritic chihuahua. It was my sister's dog actually, but when she left, the dog stayed. And when I was like a teenager learning to paint oils, I invariably never had many places to store it, and I'd always paint downstairs. So I used to have the paintings sort of like on a bit of newspaper on the floor, leaned up against a fire or a table leg or something. And my little arthritic chihuahua called Tipsy, my sister's dog, would wander in and sometimes just like have to lean up against things. So very occasionally I would have a chihuahua imprint on a landscape. And obviously a landscape imprint on a chihuahua. But never mind how we laughed, apart from the dog who had to have a bath. Tipsy by name, tipsy by nature, that little dog. Bless her. She lived good old age. Her mom was a short-haired and her dad was a long-haired chihuahua, so she was like a medium hair dog. As I say, not my dog, but you know what it's like. So we've got quite a few colours. I'll wait a few minutes if anybody's sketching live. Do oils dry slowly on a dog. They dry a little bit quicker on dogs, but I wouldn't recommend it. Do not repeat that experiment at home. You see a little gouache in your future. What for your clouds? Possibly. We need some kitchen roll today. La, 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 la. Oh, it's lovely to have so many of you with me on a bank holiday. So, as I explained, we've been doing free 45-minute monthly demonstrations on the first Saturday of the month for ever, and we're going to carry on doing that. Mandy, colours: ultramarine, cerulean blue, they're on the top of the screen, lemon yellow, yellow ochre and cadmium red, but they're all listed along the top of the screen there. But this is the last full-length free class that we'll be doing, at least for a while. We started doing about half a dozen full-length free classes a year during the... It's all right, Mandy, don't worry. During the pandemic, just to encourage creativity and stuff. But we can't really afford to keep doing all this free stuff, because we are a business, a self-funded business after all. So we try, and we'll still be doing our monthly demos, our free 45-minute demos, and the next one is next week. Is it next week? Yes, it will be the 3rd of September, and we're doing Paxton's Tower in Wales in acrylics. So that's a 45-minute free demo. You can paint along if you want to, but I'll go like a whippet. So this is our last one. So do enjoy today. I may bring it back again in the future when finances calm down and, you know, everybody's having a better time, or if we go into some sort of plummet into the depths of some sort of... Good morning, Roger. How lovely to have your company. My voluntary bits for the disadvantaged. Judy, you've drawn something. Something is good. Rosemary's got a line. That's fine. Oh, that rhymes. I do enough for the disadvantaged. I am disadvantaged myself, Janet, in so many ways. Oh, dear. So I've got my 3 brushes, my toothbrush, my scrap bit of paper, kitchen roll. I'm all ready. Okay. I think 10 past we start, and then we'll go on till 12:30. It's not a... what you can do, Judy, there's the PayPal thing on the bottom of the screen here. Or if you go straight to our website, thearteryonline.com, I've set up a coffee page, or Ko-fi, and for my art, and you can donate £3 directly to that, or you can pay me £1 or whatever on PayPal. So yeah, there are ways you can donate if you want to, if you've appreciated it. But we don't do this for the money. These free demos and free lessons we do to try and encourage creativity. But it's a bit much for me to try and run the shop, because I'm only on... There's only Jackie part-time, and there's only me on weekends. So it's a bit much for Saturdays for me to have one Saturday where I'm doing a free demo, and then I've got my calligraphy classes and our master classes, and I might do one in summer, in the summer months, in July and August every year, which will be quite nice, and maybe one in Christmas, a full length one. But as I say, our 45-minute ones will stay forever and a day, because I think they're really important, and they're good little snippets to learn all sorts of different things. She's back, Janet, but not back working. She won't be back working till after the bank holiday, so I've still got a few more days to try and move the whole shop around to annoy her for when she gets back. I have moved a few things, but Jackie will be back. Thank goodness. But don't tell her I've missed her, will you? I've had to do like loads of actual work. I've had to teach classes, serve customers, remember how to use the till, be nice to people. You know? Stressful. Right, I'm going to soak my squirrel while we're finishing off drawing. Poor little thing. The strain, what, of having to be nice to be... I know. For like so many hours in a day. Don't worry, I made up for it by being rude to my students in the classroom. Rosemary, why are you avoiding chocolate biscuits today? Saturdays are never a day to avoid chocolate biscuits. I've had 2, but it's dark chocolate. I do like a bit of dark chocolate. I have the Lindt 70-80% dark chocolate, a block of that. That lasts me a week. When wasn't I nice to you? I was nice to you on the shop floor, was I? Not in the classroom. I complimented your trees. The melty mess. Yeah. If we were doing something in sepia, it would work. Oh, it's 11:11. Make a wish, everyone. It's 11:11. Double digits. Hello, Sharon. We're talking about food again. I liked your trees yesterday, though, Liz. They were very nice. And we had a lovely, I haven't put it on Art Stream yet, but we had a fantastic morning having art history. We were doing about the arts and crafts movement. We had some fantastic discussions around that. Jill, I can see you. Hello. Right. I think these lessons are better to watch and then do in your own time, because I'm confined by time. Chocolate biscuits. What's your favourite biscuit? Because I don't know if I've got one. I do like, because I should have more gluten free, really, but I don't always. If there aren't any about, I will eat whatever's about. I like custard creams. That's me. That's me, Liz. You love it. Custard creams, jammy dodgers, Jaffa cakes. Nice biscuits. I love Nice biscuits as well. Basically, should we just say I love biscuits? So I'm really wetting this sky. But we're gonna Bourneville chocolate. Coming from the West Midlands. Best chocolate ever, that. Right. But it goes so quickly, the Bourneville. Malted milk are nice, but I have to back them to dunk them, because I don't think they're strong enough. So I put them back to back and then dunk them, so I have two at a time. Right. So we're gonna lift out the clouds with the cotton, with the kitchen roll. Oh, lovely. What day will that be? Make sure it's when we're open. We're open Tuesday to Friday, 9:30 till 5:30. Saturdays 10 till 4. I've had enough by a Saturday. Right, so I'm mixing both blues together. Now, I want a strong sunny sky. And the reason why I want that is because when I lift out the clouds with a bit of kitchen roll, I want there to be a nice contrast. Or contrast, as you would say, Liz. So let's just shove it on. Maybe I'm gonna do it. Good. We've got shopping baskets now, so you can fill them and then heave it to the till. Oh, I should have diluted that. I'm using tubes today because I thought it would be a bit easier, so you can see what I'm doing. La 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 la. Good morning, Christine. Have we got anyone from Wales live this morning? Any of my Merc Cymru crowd in? Bit more ultramarine at the top. So it's warmer at the top, cooler at the bottom. Just how I like it. Oh gosh, things just fall out of my mouth. Now don't forget, watercolour dries 30% lighter. Thank you. I heard the echo from here. Let me go in. Let me take up a bit of kitchen roll before it dries. Scrunch it nicely. I'm going to scrunch it, undo it, and scrunch it so it's random. And then %, lighter, absolutely. Now your clouds don't have to match these clouds. As long as you've got clouds, who's worried, eh? The wind could have changed direction. But what I'm doing is I'm twisting my wrist like I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. And then I'm going to tweak it a little bit so I've got some thinner clouds along the horizon line. So if you've got nice big voluminous clouds up top, thinner clouds down below, and you can also lift out with a clean damp brush. Trish, are you painting live with me today, or are you doing your usual? Give it a wiggle. It's nice. Sometimes when you're doing clouds like this, it doesn't always give a good effect, depending on how much you need the contrast between your dark and your light. But you can also get quite hard edges to your kitchen roll. But I thought I'd show you a different way. And then you can soften edges if you want to later, you see. That's what the beauty about this is. If I wanted the usual, paint later, very wise. So I can do smaller, wispier bits of cloud by lifting it out. I give it I wet it, I dry it off a little, and I drag and roll. Drag and roll. It's lovely to have so many of you with me. I am honestly, I'm nothing special, and it's lovely to have so many of you bother to get up on a Saturday morning and tolerate me for an hour and a half. Means a lot, you know, because we're such a tiny little art shop. We might be fuller than a big art shop, but we're so tiny, and it's just nice to be able. Where are you all from today? Liz, are you painting along in your new room? Oh, bless you, Mandy. So next Saturday is the next one. Coventry. Good old Cov. Although I don't like that ring road. Life in your hands on that ring road, getting onto it. South London, Sharon. What's the weather like where you are? Just nice. It's about 18 degrees, I think, here. Berkshire, Reading. I've got 24 of you so far, which is lovely. I do appreciate it. I really do. Oh, well, don't get anything on your new carpet, and no treading in any putty rubbers, because he'll tell you off. You'll have to take a photo of your wallpaper and show it me when you're in the class next, Liz, because it sounds lovely. Hot and sunny in Devon. I forgot you're in Devon, Jill. I've got wet patches on my clouds in my sky, clearly. Not on my personage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to whack it with the hairdryer. Oh, did you watch the Aretha Franklin tribute concert last night on BBC 4? Really lovely. I don't want any cauliflowers. Now, you'll see as it's dried, the texture of the kitchen roll has given me shading in the clouds. BBC 4, Christine. Oh, quite a few of them from Coventry today. BBC 4 it was on. It was really, really lovely. And then there was an Aretha Franklin duets Oh no. But you know, this time of year, me and Liz were singing it in class yesterday because all of us who were in education, in primary education, there's the Harvest Festival songs. When I grew up, it was the Dingle Dangle Scarecrow and Morning Is Broken and all of that. But in the 90s and noughties, I was teaching in the noughties. We had, there's a song, cauliflower's fluffy and cabbages green and broad beans sweeter than you've ever seen. Something like that, isn't it? And then they're sleeping in the blankety beds. Right. That's our sky done. Oh, I've got people in the shop. Hopefully they're just having a browse for now. So I don't need to add anything to my clouds, I don't think. If you wanted to add a bit more grey tone, I will add some grey tone. I'm going to put a tiny little bit of cadmium red. Well, my headmaster was a lay preacher, but we did have a few fun songs. He was obsessed with the Streets of London song. We sang that a lot. And dance then, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the dance, said he. That one. So I'm going to just wiggle with this purpley grey. So I've got a harder edge at the bottom, and then I'm going to soften it with a clean damp brush. So as I say, I am going to stop these full length classes, but I may do them from time to time. It's with everything that's going on in the world, we've got to take stock with all that's going on. Ooh, Christine, I would not lemon, but you could do lemon yellow ochre. Lemon, you run the risk of it going green. But I will put some yellow ochre in as well. Since I've got it out, we might as well shove some on. See, that's nice. It's added a little bit of depth and tone. And if you wanted very, very pale yellow ochre, which is the sandy colour, you could put little hints of that to feel like it's sunny and what have you, but really pale. If you've got too much cerulean in your sky, it will go turquoise. Oh, right, I think I've got to go and serve. I will be back. Back in a sec. I'm back. I have returned from whence I came. Ooh. So we've got some glow on there, haven't we? We've got some nice glow. If, like Rosemary, your painting dried before you got the chance to lift out with the kitchen roll, just use a clean damp brush and roll it. Stiffer bristle brushes are better if you're lifting out afterwards, so a harder bristle or a you know, depends on the weight of your paper. If your paper's quite thin, don't put too much pressure on because you'll go through it. But if it's a standard 300 300 GSM. Then you'll be alright. Actually, me nipping down and serving every now and again, I suppose, is oh, Shmayan, Shmai, Shidiki. Has the move gone alright? Are you all moved and everything? I'll tell you, Anne, while we're waiting for the sky to dry, I learned, well, because I'm doing Duolingo to learn Welsh, because of, I've never actually fully learned it properly, only hints. And the phrase that they threw up yesterday, see if I can find it, because I can't remember it. Because it makes no sense. It's not really a standard phrase that you will use, and I doubt any Welsh speaker would ever say this. Or I need to find it on it somewhere else. Oh yeah. Didi'r tiger yn y swyddfa ddim yn hoffi panas Owen. The tiger in the office doesn't like Owen's parsnips. Not the most useful of phrases. But it made me chuckle when I was reading it. Right. So background, we're going to go work from the back forward, from the ground up. So I'm going to go with my smaller brush, ultramarine, tiny bit of lemon yellow to make a bluey green. Oh, Norwegian, the elephant is near the house. Well, in Duolingo Welsh, there's Owen character is obsessed with parsnips. He's always eating parsnips, or he wants to go to different countries to buy parsnips. And I don't know why parsnips, I'd have thought leeks, but never mind. So ultramarine and a little bit of lemon yellow right for this background hill right at the back. Just a little strip there. But I'm only on the second unit. It's been really good because I found out all my old Welsh vocab books and my Learn Welsh books from when I was a teenager. When I tried. But it's amazing how different some of the words for in South Wales and North Wales are, aren't they? Like llefrith and llaeth for milk, or ferins and lossin for sweets. Crazy. But it's lovely. I suppose in the Black Country it's a much smaller area than Wales, and we've got different words for everything in different towns. Oh, so bigger clouds at the top, narrower clouds. If it all goes wrong, that's when you can use some gouache. We're nearly half an hour in, and an hour to go. How joyous. It's lovely to have you all with me. I love it. I know I say it a lot, but it's true. I do. It's not very good being a tutor if you can't tute to people, you know? So it's nice to know there are real people there. I do my best when I know there is nobody there, and I try and teach the lesson as if there were people. But it's tricky, you know. So thank you. So that was lemon yellow with a lot of ultramarine and quite a bit of water, because it's blue tones towards the distance. Cool colours go back, warm colours come forward. So we don't want any reds and ochres in these background areas, because otherwise it'll bring the background forward. if that makes sense. So cool colours push back, warm colours bring forward. So more blues in the back. In terms of aerial perspective, you want your backgrounds to be blues into yellows, well, blues into greens, into yellows, into oranges, into browns, into reds. It's a nice technique. It's a fast technique. If you wanted really more fluffy clouds and to have less control about them, you could just wet the page and paint the blue around the clouds, and you'll get very wispy lines. But these are quite defined edged clouds, so I thought we'd go for that. I'm going to just add more lemon yellow to that little strip there that I got on my tile. So we've got quite a lemony green. I'm using my thin brush. The only reason for that, if I'm brutally honest, is because it slows me down. If I did, I could paint the whole thing with my squirrel, but it means I'm very, very fast, and I'm aware that's quite annoying when you're trying to paint along with me. So use a bigger brush. Don't be daft like me. Daft as a brush, me. And so this is very lemonish. You could make it a little bit bluer, but we don't want to go too blue, because the mid-ground, and we've got trees. And I was seeing a report today that there are lots of areas of the UK, Europe and parts of America that the trees are going into a false autumn because of all of the lack of water. So the fruits are ripening, the leaves are shedding. Isn't it? I wouldn't know if the town's busy, because I get here at like 10 to 9 in the morning. I walk through the park, which is busy-ish, although I was helping somebody find a mobile phone in the middle of the grass on my way in this morning. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's a really nice way. I mean, there's the free 45-minute demos every month, Liz, as well, don't forget, which just a shortened version of this, where you don't have to paint along. Some do. Janet, you paint along sometimes, don't you, when I'm doing my speed? And Jill, you do. And you keep up really well. Yeah, it's quite sad. So it's the concern is if all the berries are, apparently in some areas of the UK, the blackberries were out and ripe in June, which is months early. So the concern is the animals that live off it for the autumn months, is there may not be much food for the animals in autumn, because it'll already have been here and gone by the time the autumn comes. So let's hope we have a bit more rain to help everybody on their way. Yeah, sometimes you need a bit of a tweak, don't you? We did a really lovely class yesterday afternoon. It's a repeat of a Thursday afternoon one where we did a narrow boat and a bridge with really overhanging canopy of trees, really lovely on the canal. So we've got that bit done. So in 10 minutes we'll be halfway through. And those of you that do my classes know that the second half of the class just is like, whew, been and gone. But don't be too hard on yourselves. These are hour-and-a-half classes. And hardly anybody would sit down for an hour and a half and expect to produce a full-on painting. And if you have and you do, well, that's good on you. I spend about 3 hours 3 hours a week on Duolingo learning Welsh, and I've got books galore that I keep jotting it down into and then transferring it into another book to try and make it make more sense. Really good app. Right. I'm going to use my squirrel. More lemon yellow. And some ultramarine. I don't want it too dark. We're going to do a wash over our field, but we want it slightly bluer. Morning, Janet and Bill. Hello, Lollipop Strawberry. What a lovely name. I'm going to have to nip and serve a customer in a minute, I think. But it gives us a chance for things to dry, doesn't it? So this is lemon yellow and ultramarine with a little bit more ultramarine this time. But what I might do while this is damp, you just plop in a little bit, there's your technical term, a little bit of yellow ochre randomly in the field while it's wet, just to change the tone up a little bit in places, makes it a little bit warmer at the bottom. Maybe a little bit more blue as well right down here, because we've not got lots of layers. So just have a little bit of fun with it. I've got I've got a cauliflower up here. Let's let that dry for a sec. Oh, for those of you that like the vintage scene, I will be performing in Wallingford in October, on the Sunday. The Wallingford Back to the 40s event. It's a Saturday and Sunday in October, and I'm there. Right, I am using 300 GSM knot or cold pressed surface Bockingford watercolour paper, and Cotman watercolours, and then my three favourite brushes. This is a size 2 squirrel pointed mop brush, a number 4 round nylon, and a number 1 miniature painting brush, and then I have an old toothbrush here as well. Try to keep the amount of colours and the amount of brushes used to a minimal amount, so it doesn't get as confusing. So for those of you that have been using computers for a while, who are old like me, this currently resembles the Windows startup screen for Windows 95. This landscape at the moment. Not a poppy in sight. Do you know what? How eventually got a Nutella jar, Janet. Does that mean you were gifted it, or did you have to empty it yourself? They're perfect though, aren't they? Wide top, stable bottom, chunky neck. Perfect Nutella jar. Oh, that's a shame. I had to go through a lot to get in enough for a double set of a classroom here. 12 jars. 400 gram Nutella. It did take me a while. It was so hard. Hard and arduous to have to go through that much Nutella by myself. But I managed. I struggled on. Right, this is a little bit damp. So we'll just wait a few minutes because we've got time. We have all the time. Yes. So I'm only performing on the Sunday because I'm here on the Saturday, working in my other job. Someone has to do it, Janet. Absolutely. But yes, Wallingford. It's based on the steam railway. Watercolour would be better to use for this. You could do it in acrylics or gouache, but you'd have to dilute it a lot more to get the same effects. But yes, I'll be doing 2 45-minute sets on the Sunday throughout the day, and possibly a few little songs on the train. I'm not sure. And your paper, you don't want your paper to be too lightweight, because it will cockle a lot and you'll get big channels occurring in your paper, and all your paint will run into that, which isn't ideal for something like this. Still a bit damp today. It's a sign the weather's changing, because during the heat wave in this classroom, even with the air conditioning unit, it was drying so quickly. But at the moment it's taken a while. Well, I hope you're enjoying this session so far. We're now halfway through. Well done for sticking with it. But it will stay on our YouTube channel and on our free learning zone on our website forever and ever and ever. So you can come back to it as many times as you need to. In fact, we've got about 90 videos on our YouTube channel. Some 45-minute demos, some just 10-minute demos, some full-length paint-alongs in watercolours and acrylics, covering all sorts of things, crafty bits, portraits, landscapes, animals, you name it. We're covering it over the years. In fact, I know that the very first date of our first live online demo, we've been doing monthly free demonstrations in-house for 12 years, but 2016 was when we first started doing them live. July 2016 was our first live demonstration. They were a bit more random when I did them. They were monthly, but they never had a specific date. But our main 45-minute demos are always on the first Saturday of each month at 11 o'clock. Sometimes I think I've only ever had to cancel 2 or 3 because of other things, or if I have to if I'm doing a gig. Yes, you can, Janet. Sorry to say, you still can. And with acrylics. Only with acrylics, be even more careful because it won't really wash off anywhere, because acrylic is almost like a fabric dye. So what I'm going to do while that's drying, I'm going to mix some yellow ochre, I'm going to do it over here, and some ultramarine together, and a tiny little bit of lemon yellow. They call it lemon yellow. So I've got a very dark bluey green here. I'm going to switch to my number 1 round miniature painting brush. And this is where we wiggle. Drag it along and wiggle along the back line. So tiny you can hardly see it, but we know it's there, and it's a great way. You don't have to go right the way across. Leave gaps, do some bigger wiggles, do some little dots so they could be bushes. Like that. We'll do some slightly bigger brushes there. I could bigger brushes. I'll move up to the number 4 brush in a second. When you learn how to do this technique, I reckon you'll be doing poppy fields galore. But I do hope you're enjoying this so far. So we'll just let that dry. Then we'll go with a slightly bigger brush to do the slightly bigger trees in the mid-ground. Tap the edges. So if you struggle with trees, it is difficult to try and make it random. We've got a wonderful hour-long lesson available on artstreamclub.com doing mindfulness trees, where it's an hour of mindfulness, a breathing exercise to calm you down and make you mindful, and then a nice relaxing session painting, learning how to paint trees. We did a wintry tree and a summer tree. It was such a calming session. I don't like that lump. It's not very tree-like. I need to make it more random, I think. Switch to a smaller brush in a minute. Need to mix a bit more up. I hadn't got quite enough. Ultramarine and yellow ochre, and then a tiny bit of lemon. little bits here and there because I feel like it. Switching to my little brush to do some finer dabby ends on these trees. You can make it as loose or as free or as detailed as you want, really. Depends if you've got more time than me and on the style you want to create. I say all the time, I teach technique, I don't teach style. That style comes from you, where you do whatever you want. So if you want to use this technique, take your shoes and socks off and paint with your feet, then go for it. Something like that. Starting to take shape a little bit. Obviously when the red goes on, but that won't go on until afterwards. We've got some texture to put in the foreground. How are you doing? I'll post this on the shop page when we've finished, and you can all add your pictures underneath as and when you do them if you feel happy to share them. But we do like to see them because I like to see how well you've been. I'm always astounded and blown away by how brilliant they are, especially in the time that it takes to do them. Keep it nice and calm and relaxed. I haven't put any bird song on, have I, today? Sorry about that. Bit pointless now for the last half an hour. I thought it was a bit quiet. Do. It means I have to sing instead, does it? No. No way. If we start singing, I'll have to charge you. My glasses are filthy. What would you like? I'm not going to do your favourite because it's too much of a nice day today to do a Christmas song. Oh, I'll do something. What should I do? Oh, I'll do a nice Dean Martin one, I think, if I can remember the words. Bum, bum. Right, okay. While you're painting and it dry. Dream when you're feeling blue. Dream, that's the thing to do. Just watch the smoke rings rise in the air. You'll find your share of memories there, so dream when the day is through. Dream, and they might come true. Things never are as bad as they seem, so dream, dream, dream. That's your lot. Right. It's a nice song, that. I do like singing that one. Right, so we're going to go with... That's a little interlude for you. A bit more lemon yellow to our dark green. With the number 4 round brush. So it's slightly darker, not as dark as those trees, but darker than your initial grass. And I'm going to try and slight dry brush, which is difficult. You might want it's yes, it is 40s, late 30s, early 40s, that song. That's the Dean Martin version. And it's really nice because it's all about, you know, things might be really bad, but just dream about a better future. 1944. Johnny Mercer. So I can sing that when I'm in Wallingford. So have either a scrap bit of paper or a bit of kitchen roll, just so your brush is fairly dry. Could even go darker than this, but I don't want it too strong yet, but we have only got half an hour. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little music interlude. Thankfully, the website I've got all my backing tracks from, I can access all my backing tracks from. So, here to entertain you for your lazy Saturdays of doing creation and whatnot. A bit more blue in there, and I think a little bit of yellow ochre. I want to go a little bit darker in the front. Now, you could use any brush for this, really. I could use the squirrel when I want to do a bit more texture in the foreground before we add the poppies. I'll probably use the squirrel in a stabby motion. Stabby stab. Oh, thank you, Janet. Well, I started off doing Dean Martin songs when I was about 12. And then as my voice broke and I got older, I tend to do more Frank Sinatra now because it sits better in my vocal range. But Dean Martin's lovely to sing. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Dean Martin is so lovely to sing because it's so calming. Frank hasn't necessarily got a calming tone to his voice. He's got a nice tone, but Sinatra's got more of a belty song voice, whereas Dean Martin is also laid back and chilled. So I thought that was more appropriate for this morning. Right, so I've dried off my squirrel and I've stabbed it. And then I thought I'd dried off my squirrel, but clearly not very much. Still soaking wet. Maybe I'll have a slightly lighter green. Stab, stab. Just so it adds texture to our mid part. I'm not going to be stabbing any more than halfway up this field. Poor squirrel, I know. I'll give him a bath later and get his hairstyle back to normal, bless him. Slightly darker green. So just play around with your greens. Either make lemon yellow, ultramarine, yellow ochre. You don't want it overly dark. But you do want it slightly darker towards the foreground. Ah, do you know what though, Jill? If you enjoy singing, do it. There's so many people put off from doing things because of, because of other people. And I get petrified when I'm performing. I'm scared stiff because I'm always worried. Even when people who have hired me to sing, who clearly know what I sound like, I just want to do a really good job. I'm the same when I'm teaching, to be honest. If I'm teaching in a new place, the first half an hour, petrified. Absolutely petrified. Can you see how doing this has given us a lovely feeling of depth? Fairly dry brush. I've just dried my squirrel off and I'm going to wash it. Well, exactly. But art is so subjective, Mandy. I've done paintings in the past that I've been so thrilled with that I think, oh gosh, this is going to sell within 30 seconds of me posting it online. I've still got them on my wall 10, 15 years later. Whereas other pieces I just post and I think, it's alright, I suppose. And then I get like 5 messages from people going, oh, is this for sale? Is this for sale? I'd like to buy that. So you can never really tell. Right, need that to dry. 25 minutes to go, but no pressure. So we don't need our kitchen roll anymore. It is soon time for the toothbrush, and you'll need a scrap bit of paper. I'm going to move these brushes out the way for now. Move that over there. So it's just, I mean, if you don't like poppies, This is a good field. You could stop here. Maybe stick a scarecrow in it, or a rabbit, or a stag. My music teacher when I was 11 was desperate to get me in the school choir. Absolutely desperate. He always maintained, because I didn't study music beyond the first 2 years when it was compulsory, because I was more into art than music as a kid, as a child. And then as I got into teens, I saw an old Doris Day movie, even though she's like old enough to be me granny. In Calamity Jane, I just fancied her so much, and I wanted to be Howard Keel. So I started listening to Howard Keel and watching loads of Doris Day movies. And then as I got older and my voice broke, I started listening to more of the older songs. So I couldn't sing modern songs with a deep voice, because my speaking voice is actually naturally a lot lower than this, but I've spent my whole life having to raise it so people can understand me. I had a very deep black country voice as a child, and nobody had a clue what I was talking about. So this is my now formed vocal that people can understand. So it's easier for me to sing deeper tones. Can't sing anything high. Right, 2 minutes, and then we're going to spatter. This is your 2-minute warning to clear the animals out of the kitchen, or wherever you're painting from. Cover your carpet, cover your tables, and cover your friends who may be with you in the room. One song I'm starting to learn, Liz, for the 40s event is La Mer, you know, the original French Charles Trenet version from the 40s. La Mer, that one. Because the English version, it doesn't have the same level of meaning. How are we doing? I do want to. I have got the backing track to the other Charles Trenet one. You know, boom, 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 boom. But my French is appalling, and Jackie's away, who speaks fluent French, so she'll have to train me in that, because I can't speak French slowly, let alone fast. She coached me. I was the interlude singer for a burlesque event, and it was for the 2020s, so it had a 20s theme, and there was a wonderful French song, Danse le Charleston, and it's all in French, and Jackie had to really coach me to get those lyrics, because French in a black country accent. And we thought, do you know what, we're in the middle of Oxfordshire, the chances of any French speaker to critique my rendition is minimal. So I arrive at the venue, and you know, the host comes on, a lovely lady, French Canadian. Didn't know that. Introduces me at the start of the show, and then I have to go and sing that French song in French. Terrible. Right. Scrap paper is going over the backfield and sky and trees. Do you know, there's some really French songs. I also felt, and this is credit to Jackie, I never liked the rap songs of the 90s. Wasn't into rap at all. However, French rap hits differently. you should listen to it. It blew my mind how lovely it was. Right, I've tried to cover as much of this up as I can. I'm going to wet my toothbrush and go into the cadmium red. Now, it won't really matter what quality of paints you have. Cadmium red is a hungry colour regardless, and it will eat up every single colour on your plate. I knew you meant croissant. Right. Red paint on my brush. I'm going to tip it upwards. So if you imagine my hand here is the surface of the table and we're looking at a cross section, the brush face is down and then I stroke up with the bristles. See, look at that big blob that would have gone everywhere. The runnier it is, the bigger your blobs. I think cadmium red is a slightly better version of red to use, or vermilion. We don't want to go crazy, because I'm going to blast this with a hairdryer in a sec and then use a brush. I will hairdry this without moving the paper, hopefully. Because I don't want to lift it up if it's wet. And I don't want to blow underneath it because I'll have big red trees forming, you know, like when you use a straw. I have got a red streak in the sky because of that red blob. So I'll have to try and lift that out in a sec. Oh, look at that. Have you seen what's happened there? I've got red blobs. I've got red blobs everywhere, so I'm going to have to turn those into little... because I can't lift those out. Far too red. That's another little field of poppies. See, it's really good me doing these live, because when I have problems that occur, it helps you solve your problems, hopefully. Oh, well done. I wish I'd been able to be successful. I've covered my painting. I think I've got rid of the blobs in the sky. I've created an extra poppy field. To make it an extra poppy field, I'm going to have to go the whole hog and do a few little wiggles of trees. Just to fence it in. Right. This is still quite wet, but you can see how it's worked. And then I'm going to go with a number 4 round brush and neat cadmium red in the foreground to do some bigger blobs, and they're not wonderfully defined. But the poppies are going to be bigger in the midground to the foreground. It is one of the exercises where you'll probably hold your breath. So come up for air. So they're not perfectly circular or oval. It does depend how many you actually want to create. But bigger flowers in the foreground. Perfect. And then it sort of goes back into that little area where we've spattered. So that's got to dry. Oh, I don't think I've got the energy this morning to put any animals in. It would be nice. Some birds flying high. You know what I feel. Thank you, Sharon. I've got to do the centres of the poppies, which I will actually do in just ultramarine. Just in the foreground. So it's a shame I've now got that added extra red wash of a field, but so it is, isn't it? Trying to do it live in front of a studio audience. Where are you getting all your emojis from, Lollipop? Are you using your phone? Because I like that duck. He's cute. And that snail looks very happy. Malwad is Welsh for snail. Not going to do every centre of the poppy, and they're not all going to be in the centre, because, you know, flowers don't all grow in the same direction. Oh, I think do the canal boat from yesterday first, and then do this one. Although this is going to be fresh in your mind, so you could perhaps do this one first. I ought to do some darker green foliage or something in a second, just to set it all off. Some more defined foliage, because I've only got 10 minutes left, so I don't want to. I haven't really. Liz, you did a beautiful job yesterday. So again, dark green, lots of blue, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of lemon, and then just doing some flicky things right at the front. That could be leaves or stems. But don't fill all of the light. keep the light. Well, for those of you who may be getting your GCSE results this weekend, or they came in the post, or you've been to school to get them, I hope you got the results you needed or wanted. It's a scary, stressful time. I can remember very well when I got mine. Some of them were exactly what I wanted, some of them weren't. So I had to resit them, but you know, that's the thing about learning and education, isn't it? It's not time oriented. There was a 92-year-old man who just passed his GCSEs. Oh, I'm going to have to go downstairs. I might have to extend the lesson a little bit longer because I've got several people in the shop now. I'll be back in a second. I need to put my little sign up for... Where have I put that? I'll be back in a minute. I'm back, but with browsers. But that they're fine for the next 5 minutes or so. Do have a go, Jill. I think it's important just to have a play around. I mean, even if you didn't want to do the spattering, I'm just having to put back in. I put so much red in. I've lost my tracks in my field. So we'll put some of that back. Maybe some slightly darker patches around the red, so it's not all light, but you don't want to. So, oh, good. I like it when you're pleased with what you do. It pleases me also. Yeah, sometimes you can make too much of a mess. My laptop microphone and camera are still have never recovered from a Jackson Pollock acrylic painting session that we did 3-4 years ago. Looks like I've been visited by Mr. Tumble. Or rather Mr. Tumble than Mr. Blobby, I suppose. Well, I don't know. Both irritating. Right. I think that's me more or less done. I didn't want to just either end abruptly, so thank you for your patience while I go and serve it. I know it's a bit annoying, but we are a working art supply shop as well as classroom, so we have to do all sorts. Yeah, you could, Christine. The only issue, right, good question about the lavender field. The only issue is that you would probably have to add white gouache to your purple if you were spattering on green, only because the blue and the crimson, which would be a good lavender colour, would tend to be more transparent. So when it goes over the green grass, it could well go brown. Normally when I'm doing lavender or bluebells, I put that directly onto white paper and paint the greens around it. Oh, thank you, Sally. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed today. I've enjoyed having your company. And next Saturday, the 3rd, is a free demo, and it's a Welsh scene. What am I doing? I'm doing Paxton's Tower in acrylics. So not necessarily hands-on, but you can watch and then maybe do it later. But I'll take a photograph of this and post it on the shop page after I finish serving, so you can then have a space to post yours, and it gives you an idea of what I've done a little bit more closely. So thanks ever so much for your company. I've had a wonderful day with you. Take care. Have a wonderful bank holiday weekend, whatever you get up to. Hopefully it's full of art and craftiness and fun. And hopefully I will see you in the classes, or maybe in the shop, or even on our next free demo next Saturday. So thanks ever so much. Take care, stay safe, look after yourselves. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.